Good morning, class. So today what I want to do is I want to go over what I was going to in class. So it's going to be your responsibility to make sure that you kind of are caught up with this. So we're going to do number 4, and in the beginning we're going to do it completely brute forced, no input, and then eventually we will move on to do some input. So right here it says write an algorithm that gets the price for an item plus the quantity purchased, and the algorithm prints the total cost, including sales tax of 6%. Now, the other day in class, we did do an algorithm for that, and it should have looked something like this. First, we're going to do our inputs. And then also, we're going to kind of think about our flow here as well. So I want to get input. I want to process, and then I want to output, right? So input, process, output. All right, so what are our inputs? Well, we need to get price of item. And I'm going to underline price because that's going to be a variable. Before that, I'm going to say print, please enter price. So we have to tell the computer to do everything. Then we also need to get the quantity. So I want to say print, please enter quantity. And then we're going to get QTY, underline, of items. All right. After we've done that, we're going to move into our processing. And our processing, we're going to calculate subtotal, ST, and that's going to be equal to price times quantity. Then we're going to calculate tax, and that's going to be subtotal times 0.06. And then we're going to calculate total. And all of these are variables, so I'm going to underline them. And the total is going to be subtotal, ST, plus tax. All right. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to output. In our output, we're going to say, we'll keep it simple in the beginning. Print, please pay total. Okay. Now I'm going to break these apart. I want to make these actually 2 print statements. So that's going to be one, and this will be the other. So this is known as a literal. This is the variable. All right. And eventually I'll teach you the concatenating operator, which is a plus. So we would say something like, please pay, and then plus the variable total, so on and so forth. Eventually, maybe we want to modify this to read you bought quantity number, and I'll underline, of items at price per item. Your sales tax is your total is, and maybe we want to say here, right in here, right, your subtotal is, and then it would be ST for subtotal. Your sales tax is, then we say tax, your total is total, underline like that. So this would be a modification to the original. So now we have the basics of what we need to do. So now we're going to move into creating a new project. So I have everything open here. Hopefully everybody can see this pretty well. I think I have it streaming pretty good. I'm going to create a new program. So File, New, Java Project. And I'm going to call this EX4. How about CH2 EX4, right? So now I have, let's see, what did I do here? Let me try again. Forgive me 1 second. I want to make sure that I'm actually streaming up here. Yep, looks like I am. Okay. So I want to try this again. I'm going to delete this out. And I want to add back in the Java project. And I'm going to call it Chapter 2 EX4. Try that. Module name, I'm just going to say don't create. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say new class. All right. And my class is going to be exercise 4. And then don't forget to do public static void main. Okay. All right, so we're going to come in. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to comment and main method. Always remembering that classes go inside, classes consist of methods which are related to each other, and methods contain blocks of executable code. So we're going to say end class exercise 4. Now notice main is the identifier, meaning the name of the main method. Exercise 4 is the name of the class. And I'm going to put some room in here. All right. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to discuss these variable things. We have a whole bunch of different variables that are available to us. You can look those up in Chapter 9. It starts talking about those, and there's an online module that will also help you out with that. And I can even show you all the different data types that are available. So a data type is a container, a very specific container for our variables. And we need to know what data type, meaning what kinds of information are we going to be storing into our variables. Now, since we are doing things like price, which have a decimal in it, we probably want to do a float. So we're going to say float, all right, or I should say double. I'm going to say double, and we're going to declare our variable price, Okay, and then we're going to say double, and we're going to declare that one as quantity. And then we're going to say double. What else do we have? Subtotal, ST. And then double tax. And then double total. Okay, and I think that's everything. So now I'm going to put a little line here that says this is my input. Now right now we're not actually going to get input, but I am going to put our input, our print statements in. If you look at if you look there at my pseudocode, I'm going to actually put those in. I'll be able to move that over just a little bit. So those print statements are system.out. So system.out.print line. I know what happened. And then we're going to say, please enter price of item. Now again, right now, it's not going to do anything, okay? We're going to brute force this. So we're actually going to put into price whatever we want. So this is called an assignment operator. I'm going to say price, P-R-I-C-E. And we're going to set that equal to whatever we want the price of our item to be, and it could be $1, $2, $10. I recommend doing something that's easy to calculate in your mind. So I'm going to say 10 for $10. And I can even put 10.00, so it's $10.00. All right. The next thing I needed to do, according to my pseudocode, is get the quantity. So system.out.print line. Please enter the quantity. And again, I'm going to brute force this. So we'll come back later and do this, but we're going to say QTY equals 10. This is pretty straightforward. We should be well aware that 10 times 10 is 100, so that would be our subtotal. So now I want to move into the processing. And then make sure I put that as a comment. And I'm going to say subtotal. All I'm doing is following my algorithm that I have over there, line for line. That's going to be equal to, so it's an assignment operator, price times quantity. Next, I'm going to calculate tax. So tax equals subtotal times 0.06. I don't need white space in here. I just kind of had it in there. And then finally, I need to calculate total. So total equals subtotal times tax. Now we know that this should come out to be $106 is what we ultimately need to get. So hopefully that'll work. And right now we're going to say system.out.print line. Okay, and you're gonna have to give me a break. I gotta take a break here. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. So system.out.println. Then we're going to say, let's see, please pay. Now I'm not going to do anything else right now. I'm going to do these one step at a time. So please pay. Then I'm going to do another one. That's my literal to output the total. So instead of putting it in quotes, we just simply say total. At this point, I want to run it, and the way that it should say is please pay, and then underneath of that, $106. So let's see. Run as Java application. Okay. Let me see, what did I do? Oh, so my total, that should be plus. Hopefully you caught that. Right? There we go. Please enter price of item. So notice how it's doing exactly what we say. We enter the price of item, $10. Please enter the quantity. Please enter the quantity. We're entering this in a brute force manner. We don't actually have a mechanism to interact yet. Right? Then we do the processing. Subtotal equals price times quantity, tax equals subtotal times 0.06, total equals subtotal plus tax, and then we say, please pay $1.06. All right. Now I'm going to take and show you what's known as an overloaded operator. And it's called the concatenating operator, and it's the plus symbol. So what I'd like to do is, instead of having two statements that say this, let's do the same thing in one statement. So system.out.println, and I want to say, please pay. All right. I want to put a space. I want to make this however I want. I'm going to put a colon in there. Inside of the parentheses, so the parentheses say output everything, right? But after the quotes, because the quotes belong to literals, right? And then I want to put a plus symbol. So I want to say please pay literal, and then total as the variable. Then I'm going to put a semicolon at the end. Now what's going to happen is please pay $106 is going to be all on one line. So if I run this, please pay $106. Now the other thing is that says 106. Truly it doesn't say $1. So I have a choice. I could put a $sign right here if I want. Okay. Or I could concatenate multiple things. So I could say quote plus quote, and then concatenate to that the total. So now it's a literal concatenated to another literal concatenated to a variable. Now, from an efficiency standpoint, you would put the $sign right here because you have complete control over this. But you experiment, you play, whatever makes sense to you. All right? Now, let's take and build that last output statement down here. Where I say you bought quantity, number of items at the price of blah, 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 blah. And we're going to keep in this right here. All right. If you want to make one great big statement, you can. But I'm going to break it apart so I kind of get a feel for everything. So I'm going to say you bought, and I'm going to put a space. I'm going to concatenate to that quantity items at, whoops, hold on, literal I'll come on down here. It ignores white space. PRICE. And in here, and we'll put it like that. So it should read, you bought quantity. Quantity has 10 items at price, right? $10 each. Now, if you want, again, there's going to be a missing dollar sign, so we can modify that. But let's run this first to see how it works. You bought 10 items at $10 each. And notice how there's no space there either. And I would like for there to be a space. So come back up to that literal. I'll put a space in. And I want a dollar sign, so I'm going to put a dollar sign in there as well. I'm going to run it again. Check that out. You bought 10 items at $10 each. Please pay $106. All right, so we're doing pretty good. I'm going to leave everything in here for now so I can kind of experiment with it. One of the things I always recommend is you never ditch code. You always leave any code that you've ever written in. And that way you can always refer back to it at a later date. Then in the final product, then you can completely get rid of everything if you would like to do that. So the last thing I want to do is I want to make it so that we can take an input, ask for these two pieces of information. So if we're going to do that, I'm going to need just a little bit more help here. So give me just a second. That's not at all what I wanted. So give me just a second to pull up what I want. Okay, so here we go. This is what we're going to do. We need some help for this. So this is going to be called a library. And what we need to do is some setup first. So outside of our class, we're going to ask for the help by importing. So we're going to say import java.util.scanner. All right, so java.util.scanner. Now, those of you that have programmed before, maybe you had a teacher say, well, import java.util, which is utility.star. That's the wildcard, meaning import everything in there. Okay, there's times where you're going to want to do that, but whatever you import, that just makes it bigger and bigger. So kind of keep that in mind. The more you import of an entire library, the larger everything becomes. All right. So I'm just going to import the scanner. Now, after we've imported the scanner, we need to create a new object. So up here at the top, we're going to say new objects. This is called instantiating an object, and this is called initializing our variables right here. So we're going to instantiate our new object, and to do this, we're going to use scanner. That's going to be our type. That's our object type. Just like double is for variable, scanner is for our objects. And we're going to call it KB input. And we're going to equal, that's going to be assigned to new scanner system.in. All right. I'll explain this a little bit, but be aware that right now it's more about just use it. It's a command. You don't have to thoroughly understand it. So scanner is the name of, that's our object type. It's so the KBN is our identifier and is of type scanner. And then we're going to instantiate it by saying new scanner and allow for input. All right. Now, from there, we're going to change these statements right here to make the computer wait for input. So when we interact down here in our console, it is now going to be waiting for input. So system.out.println, please enter price of item. Price equals $10. All right, we're going to change that from equals $10 to the following. We're going to say price equals KB input. All right, and then you're going to hit a dot. This is called dot notation. And we're going to say next. And it's going to recognize that it's a double, the IDE does, Eclipse does, and that's what we're going to do. Whatever our data type is that we're expecting for our variable, we need our scanner to do the same. So in this case, next double. If it was an integer, it would be next int. If it was a short or a long or a string, well, string's a little bit different. There's some different things we'll do there. So we're going to do the same thing down here. I apologize for that. That's coming out of my browser. KB input dot next double again, and that's the only modifications we have. So input, and I'm going to put a little note here that this line pauses and waits for user interaction. All right, so that's kind of what's going on there. It pauses and it waits for user interaction. The same thing that's happening here. So let's go ahead and run this and watch what happens. So now it says, please enter price of item. Notice it's pausing, it's waiting. So my price is now $1, right? Please enter the quantity. I have 10 of those. You bought 10 items at $1 each. Please pay $10.60. Now notice there isn't a zero there. If you want to get real fancy, you can actually format that output to actually say always show two places. We're not going to do that right now because I think I've given you an awful lot of information at this point. So after this, what we would do is we would clean this up, and I'm going to put a place up there. I want you to complete all of this. All right, everything that's here, I want you to complete it, and you're going to turn in a screen capture of kind of your code like this, and everything running, and I need that full screen capture just like this. I need everything, and the reason I need that is it's proof that you're doing it on your own computer. All right. If you can't do it on the computer, you're certainly welcome to come in and do it in the labs. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to get caught up on this, so it won't be due for a little bit, but this is going to give you something to do. If you have any questions, I'm going to be in my office for a fair amount of time today, so you can shoot me an email back or send me a message through Canvas, and I'll be pretty responsive. Have a great day.